Pour a cup and connect with us today as we talk about preparing for Lent, especially for those with families. This is Mugs and Mercy. Cheers! Welcome back, everybody. We are all preparing for Lent. Lent begins for the Orthodox on next week. The Catholics begin this Wednesday, which is when this is supposed to be uploading.
And other Christians who
celebrate Lent. Any Christian in the world. Pascha/Easter is coming, and we have so many resources and things to talk about with our families and how we're getting prepared for Lent. So we really want you to join us for this and let us know what you do down below.
Just a couple of reminders as we're getting into it today. For Lent, we have our book club, Screw Tape Letters. And so we have all begun or are beginning. And then in early April, we're going to do a live. And hopefully some of you will join us.
Please,
we get to chat about it.
I
love
discussing books.
Yes. And then we have, you can sign up for the notifications. We have a Google form, very simple.
And our newsletter, just in general, if you're interested in that too.
So that's in the description. Like and subscribe. down below. Also, as always, if you like this video and subscribe and share, that's the best one. It helps other people find it too.
Yes.
Okay, all that is enough because we have not done the most
important thing of our day. Not really, but
we can't forget. Emily.
Yes.
What's in your mug?
In my mug is whole milk from Costco.
Nice.
It's just, I was just needing like a cold, refreshing drink. And our friend Sarah actually made this mug. It's my mom's mug, but cute. Our friend that we kind of grew up with. So I just, Christine.
Yes.
What's in your mug?
Well, I have this retro glass mug that is from the Flintstones when the live action Flintstones movie came out, and this mug was available through McDonald's.
Yabba dabba do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yabba dabba, don't mind if I do. Our dad was really into collectible cups and stuff. So
and I got that from him.
It reminds me of him.
Yeah.
I'm drinking decaf coffee strong with some butter and some maple syrup.
It's so good.
It's very rich and delicious. Mm-hmm. Katie, what's in your mug? Tell us.
Well, I did decaf again because it's nighttime with dark chocolate, hot chocolate. And I borrowed this mug from Aunt Kim, their mom. And it says coffee, 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 coffee.
Coffee, coffee, coffee.
It says it more than that, Katie. No,
it does. You don't want to hear how many times.
Like 50 times. No.
Okay, so Emily.
Yes.
Who is our saint of the day?
Our saint of the day.
As related to our topic of the day.
Today we are talking about a saint that you're all familiar with, and that is Saint John the Beloved, the disciple Saint John, who wrote one of the Gospels. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We thought today, because we're starting Lent, who better than to talk about someone who was with Jesus almost every step of the way, who knew him, who was one of the very closest people to Jesus in his earthly walk on this world, in this life. And St. John talks a lot about love throughout his thing. He's the beloved. He talks about being the one that Jesus loved. And
Christ's love, and how Christ calls us to love
each other. Exactly. So
throughout.
Yes.
John 3:16 is arguably the most famous Bible verse that everyone memorizes.
That's true. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And just everything about his gospel, it just always comes back to love. And I think that we're going to talk about the 3 pillars of Lent today. So as we're talking about Lent, just highlighting a saint to look to and to ask for guidance and help, St. John the Beloved is a great saint. He is also my son's patron saint, so I feel like a closeness to him naturally. He's just, when I've ever asked him for intercessions, I feel just very encouraged and closer to Christ, because he was so close to Christ, and he still made mistakes and had issues and was learning and just human. You know, he was a very human person, but he always came back stronger And I feel like he's just a perfect example of someone for us to look up to during this time of the year.
I love St. John. I'm always a little bit jealous of him. Like, imagine being like, I mean, I guess we're all called to be that close with Jesus, you know? But I'm like, he literally was that close with Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, just to know you have that friendship.
He's like the ultimate example of that bond.
Yeah.
When I find when I'm needing the most comfort or having a faith struggle in particular, the Gospel of John is always where I start. And there's just so much about Christ's love and what he did and how he taught us to love throughout the gospel. The other gospels have that too.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
it's just so emphasized in the gospel, so it's always a good place to go back to in times of like needing comfort and needing to feel closer to Christ's love.
And as we go through the trials and tribulations of Lent and heading towards Pascha, I think he's like the perfect saint to keep asking for help as we go through it, and someone to really just, I know I already said that kind of, but to just really reflect on as we go through Lent.
All right.
That's great.
So
What do we do? What is this Lent thing? What do
Yeah.
How do we approach this?
Where do we start? So we wanted to talk about, the 3 pillars of Lent.
So I think we talked about the 3 pillars of a fasting season when we talked about Advent. And they're the kind of 3 things that define our desired behavior during the fasting season.
We like 3s in Orthodox.
Yes, it feels good. So the first one, fasting.
Almsgiving.
Prayer.
All together, they make
Almsgiving, fasting, and prayer.
The pillars of Lent.
I just listed them again. So if you're new to Orthodoxy or Lent in general, we thought we would kind of dig into each of these and then how we take these 3 pillars of Lent into our own personal homes, our own personal hearts, and kind of how we live out Lent with these 3 pillars in mind.
Yes.
And then we're going to also talk about some extra things at the end that you can also do. Christine, would you like to start just the basics of fasting? What is fasting?
Okay, so I know, at least for me, when I think, okay, here comes Lent, it's like, okay, here comes the fasting.
The big one.
It's I think it's hard. It's the most challenging because especially when you have a family, you got to feed people and you got to feed yourself, but you got to feed your family. And so that's like
Sometimes
takes up a
there's
lot of
dietary needs and everything.
Yes, exactly. So it takes up a lot of mental energy. Yeah.
Bye-bye cheeseburger.
Hello, hungriness.
Yeah.
I think I want to cry. Okay. So in the Orthodox fast for Lent, you are abstaining from certain foods. So we're not fasting like, that trending diet or whatever where you don't eat for certain periods of time.
Well, it's typically not like where you choose what you want to give up with Orthodoxy. There's like a church-wide standard fast.
Yes, there are the guidelines of the church. It's like what's prescribed, and you can speak to your spiritual father or your priest about how if you need any adaptations for yourself personally. So it is like a personal thing, but there's like what the church prescribes, which you can check most of us have like access to a fasting calendar that will give you some.
There's apps, there's calendars. Christine, you have one because sometimes I'll ask you, like, are you allowed to have alcohol on this day?
Yes,
or
it's a wine
oil
day.
or whatever. Yeah, Christine's always like, it's a wine day.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and something I wanted to note before we go too far into it. Typically, so if you're pregnant or nursing, you're not required to fast. And you can still choose to give up something else like sweets or something, but because like the proteins that we're giving up with the prescribed Orthodox fast, because it's virtually vegan besides shellfish, that because of like the health of your baby that you're growing or feeding through nursing, the church understands that
I actually,
that's not
I had
something because it's about the child, right? It's so it's more important that you're getting the nutrition to support your child. And likewise, people might have other dietary things going on, and then children also under a certain age are not expected to do this fast.
Right. Yeah.
I had a priest once, I was in confession, and he asked about fasting. And then he goes, oh, wait, you're nursing. Don't worry about it. And I was like, well, I try not to. And he goes, no. Don't fast. Don't do that. Like, not from food. And I was like, because I was going to say, like, I try not to do dessert or whatever. But he was, so I mean, it depends on which spiritual father you're talking to. Like, they might say, you know, try to do lighter meats or something, you know, but it's, you don't fast to hurt your body. You're not fasting. Your body is still a temple. Especially when you're growing a baby or feeding a baby, it's not just about you. You have to do what's best for your body still. But the whole point of fasting is to, above anything, is to draw closer to Christ, right? And to kind of get things out of our view, like, you know, meat, sugar, whatever it is in our view, to be able to get closer to him. So that's kind of how I like to look at it. And yes, while nursing, I do try to, a lot of us try to do like no chocolate, no ice cream, you know, things like that.
I do not do no chocolate, by the way. That is
not. But you know, we try to do other things. So you're still giving up something.
Yeah.
Right. Well, because obviously, like, the reason that you're not required to fast during those times is for the health of you and baby. And so if you're like giving up something like sugar, you don't need sugar for the sake of it. So it can be.
I mean, if you're pregnant, though, it's hard to give up sugar fully, but it's true. So a good other thing would be like giving up TV, or at least as much TV, or listening to certain radio stations that maybe doesn't have as, you know, high quality of music.
Yeah. So we abstain. What's prescribed by the church is abstaining from certain foods, and this helps us refocus from like ourselves and our desires to refocusing on Christ and pursuing him. And so we do that through fasting from food, but also in the rest of our lives too. It's helpful to be thinking about what you're consuming through media or whatever. I feel like music is something that is very influential in like your mood and focus. So if you're usually listening to like gangsta rap, you know,
I'm sure all three of us do that a lot.
Yeah. But I remember when I was in like middle school or something, I remember I used to listen to B96 out in the Midwest.
Oh my gosh, B96!
Yes, B96, and that was like all the like just pop music, the top 100. But there's a lot of R&B stuff that I didn't even know what they were saying at the time, but it was not the best influence on my brain, you know. And I remember fasting from that one year and like hearing someone else listening to that music, and we're like, whoa, you know, once you like kind of fast from it, and then you are exposed to it again. You like see, oh, that's what's been going into me.
I've done that with TV shows too. Like maybe I'll just watch like PG shows, like nothing too, whatever. And then after I'll watch it again and be like, should I be doing this ever?
Right.
Like,
That's part of what we learned during Lent, I think.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're so much better off when we have way less of this that we're consuming, or more innocent things we're consuming, and then
it's all
pure for us.
Yeah, the whole point is it's purifying, and it's like cleaning out all this stuff, and then it's very enlightening because you realize there's so much that we shouldn't be doing anyways.
Well, why don't we talk about, because we all have young families, young children. We're, I think, all nursing still. And so what are some things that we're doing or have done, maybe times we're not nursing, but with the different dietary things going on? Because this is a conversation like just this week as we've been preparing. My husband and I have said, okay, here's what we're going to do as a family. Here's what we're going to do individually.
Yeah. Well, every Lent and Advent, the last 5 years, I've been either pregnant or nursing, I think. So I haven't had like a chance to like go back to my old ways and like figure it out with kids. But I will say we try to do in general not concentrate on meat as much, but things like we try to do healthier. We try to do like no ice cream. We try to do, you know, just like no none of those easy, you know, we won't do fast food burgers or something, you know, like I try to make just more whole meals. And cutting back a little bit, like we'll do a lot more fish stick, like we do fish and, you know, things like that instead of like, you know, meaty things. So we just change it little ways to where it's not necessarily like because my kids are both, well, one of them's very picky already, so we just try to change it enough that he notices something's different, but not necessarily where he won't eat anything, 'cause
Yeah.
if I just gave him rice and beans, he wouldn't eat, he wouldn't eat. So we have to, a lot of pasta and mac and cheese, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Yeah. It's simple.
Yeah, simple. We try to keep it simple.
Well, something a priest that gave an idea, this was at a time that I wasn't nursing, so we, my husband and I could fast, but the children weren't required to. So he said, well, like, say you make spaghetti and meatballs so the kids have some protein, like you just have the spaghetti and the sauce and not the meatballs, or, so if an idea with the adapting meals for different people, if you have adults who are fasting and children who aren't, is like thinking about, as you're making it, how can I make it in such a way that it's adaptable so that the children have this, but then we have a different one.
The options.
And something too, adults who are fully doing the Orthodox fast should be paying attention to getting enough protein. Yes. So things like beans and lentils and seeds.
We don't want anyone passing out during the the kneeling services.
Well, and something that's kind of cool in our modern day is, because there's so many diet things that people do, more and more people have like vegan diets, like all the time, vegan diets. But because of that, there's vegan cookbooks, there's vegan, things at the grocery store that you can see, and they're already made that way. And obviously the purpose of the fast isn't to like have it be super convenient or taste exactly like meat. But sometimes, especially when you have a lot going on with a young family, if there's just things, it's like, oh, this is plant-based. Okay. Ooh. Check for olive oil, but But anyway, that was something I just thought. Like,
the reason she made that joke is in the Orthodox Church, there's certain days you're not supposed to have olive oil.
Right. That's one of the
I mean,
guidelines.
Double check.
So, Christine, you're more familiar with than I've ever been with the specifics of the fast and how certain days. Did you want to talk about Orthodox fasting specifically?
I mean, most of the fast is primarily meat and meat products and dairy products, including eggs. And then there's days, most days without fish during Lent. There's like 2 days, the Annunciation and I think Lazarus Saturday. Palm Sunday, where you can have fish. Lazarus Saturday, you can have caviar.
Oh,
which is a special treat. Yeah. Yeah, because it's like,
is it though?
It's like it's like one of those things you got to just eat it because you can.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's like fish eggs, and so it's kind of like a foreshadowing of like the Pascha eggs or something.
Cute.
I don't know. There's a reason, but yeah, it's a little fun tidbit.
Well, then you can have invertebrates, so that's why you can have shellfish,
right?
And technically, you could have like crickets, locusts, and wild honey.
Yeah, you could.
St. John the Baptist.
Yeah, I feel like your husband would try that or something.
Oh, he totally would try crickets.
Yeah, so you could get creative with that.
But that is something you oftentimes, like if there's a Orthodox potluck, there's oftentimes like shrimp dishes and such during fast.
So much shrimp
because
I never liked shrimp.
It's an invertebrate.
And I had to learn to like shrimp.
Oh, I love shrimp
Because of fasting. As an
I
adult,
like shrimp.
I finally
loves shrimp.
like it under certain circumstances.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So there's very specifics with the Orthodox fast.
But really, especially people who are new to Orthodoxy or have any dietary things should talk to their spiritual father.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I know, like sometimes priests have given guides to catechumens to just do the full fast on like Wednesdays and Fridays, and then give up just meat other days or whatever. There might be different things that like your spiritual father prescribes. And
that's what we try to do a lot too with our kids. Sometimes we'll do Wednesdays and Fridays are like no dairy day or something like that, where we're a little bit more strict, or no meat. We try to just do like shrimp on those days or something. So I don't know. Every year's been different so far because they've been so little, but we're figuring it out.
Yeah. Food is always, fasting or not, it is like my kryptonite. Like meal planning for the family, my ADHD brain just goes like, what do people eat? Like I cannot think of anything besides pasta and like tacos. you know, like
Shrimp tacos.
yeah. So,
Or veggie tacos. Bean
so
tacos.
it's like definitely a way that I have to humble myself and be like, okay, God, I'm trying. And I'm going to try, you know. It's hard, and my poor family has to just eat whatever I come up with.
I will say, as I saw,
That's cute.
it was either a story or a reel of Career Destiny of Ascetic Life of Motherhood
I was gonna
during
bring her up.
Advent. And she, the main thing I remember her talking about was like doing a lot of rice bowls, because like rice can be a good grain to start with, and then there's a lot of variations you can do that
Quinoa,
have
too.
different
I
good
always
tastes.
make quinoa
Yeah,
bowls
yeah.
myself.
And then you get some protein from that too, which is good.
And she actually has a a Lenten cookbook, right? Or like a
Meal plan.
meal plan.
That would
has
make
in the
sense
past,
that she
so-
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
We
there
can-
are anything. We'll try to find a few of these things and link them down below. So, but yeah, I've looked at her stuff in the past.
Yes. But I think a lot of it, especially with young families, is what can you do that's more simple? Like for our family, we're giving up sweets as a family, right? That's not like the prescribed Orthodox fast. Our children are very young, but we have been talking to them about that and why we give things up. And we've said, okay, we're not going to do at least any like candy, like those kind of sweets. We said if we do, we're going to make like maybe a healthier version of like a berry cobbler with just sweetened by maple syrup and not, you know, all the sugar and such. So,
Yeah.
but the idea is that we're talking to them about it and the why behind it. And so even though they're very young and they're not doing the full fast, we are making sure that we're making it part of their education of the why and where we're going towards Pascha.
Yeah, that they're learning that this is, even if it's not perfect fasting by the book, it's different enough that it shows that this is a set aside time that we're dedicated to drawing nearer to the Lord.
And we're simplifying those outside things so that we can focus on the inner spiritual life. Yes, my kids, not all are fasting yet. My eldest is beginning to do like a partial fast. I'm very proud of her, but they all know, like, we don't do ice cream, you know, it's just too extravagant. Like even the ones that don't fast from other things are like, they just know, because we've done that for several years in a row now, like we just don't splurge on those like extra things, you know. But
Speaking of, can I ask
Oh,
you?
yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask you a question? And this might come up with a lot of people. Is what is it like to have your birthday during Lent, and what do you
Oh, it happens
do
all the time.
every year? Christina's birthday in Lent, and grew up with it.
a couple
My sister
times.
too, poor Nicole.
Yeah. And hers
love
is
you,
more
Cal.
in the middle. Like mine has sometimes been like cheese fair, and we're like, woohoo!
Yeah, Nicole's is always every time during Lent.
Sorry, wah, wah.
Because we're both March birthdays.
And then my dad's is like sometimes after Pascha and sometimes it's been like Holy Friday or whatever, like the most intense
Yeah.
day of the year.
Like happy birthday.
Yes.
So, I mean, you can ask your priest for a blessing for, you know, maybe fish or, you know, cake with eggs in it or whatever. Although it's pretty easy to find a Lenten cake, but I've also been like pregnant and breastfeeding for so many years that I haven't. I'm like, well, I can have this. Sorry, honey. You know, but you can get a blessing for something if you're. I don't know if you're gonna go crazy with your birthday, but like this year, I'm planning to celebrate mostly after Pascha, which is kind of a stretch.
Yeah. Two things that reminded me of. I remember growing up in your birthday parties, we'd always have like cheese pizza. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
cheese pizza was like our form of fasting for meat, you know?
But yeah, well, like we talked about in our
Advent episode.
Or Cradle
was it
Orthodox.
the Cradle
Cradle
Orthodox
Yeah.
episode was that our parish wasn't really fully fasting from
They were
dairy.
all learning
Yeah,
still
they were
what it
all-
all meant.
Yeah, pretty new, first generation, just hot off the presses. I don't know. I didn't have to grow up with ice creamless birthdays, probably.
Well, yeah. We
but
thought we even thought fish was okay the whole time.
Yeah, we had fish.
You
Like,
know,
all the
like
time.
this is like when we're single adults, like learning. Oh, we're not supposed to be. You know, like there's
Yeah.
actually more
But
for
fish
girls.
isn't meat.
Yeah. And I've been to birthday parties during Lent where the priest basically said, like, at their party, let them have whatever. And this is the thing is I grew up thinking, oh no, if I break the fast, it's like I ruined the whole thing. But it's not really like that. We had this speaker at our church who even said I forget what the context was, but she's had a cheeseburger in the middle of it. Do you remember that?
I think she was saying,
I forget what it was.
because someone was saying if you're having a really hard time, I think it was something about like if you're having a really hard time, and she's like, you know what? Sometimes you just get a cheeseburger, then you move on.
Yes.
Because if it's affecting you so much that you're just becoming an awful person to your family.
Yes, that was it. Yeah.
It was like, you know, you get kind of hangry and your nutrition is like off, you know.
Yeah.
And there was, I don't know, there was a Fool for Christ or someone who let us know if you know which saint this was, who like sat on the steps of the church eating meat
On Holy Friday.
I remember that.
because, you know, to show like people's hypocrisy when they were judging him for eating meat, you know.
Yes.
And doesn't it say in the scriptures, you know, what good is fasting from this food if you're devouring your...
I think that's a St. John Chrysostom quote, if I'm not mistaken. But,
Yes.
Well,
yes.
put it on the screen.
Put it on the screen, the reference. Well, and the whole point of that was if you break the fast once or twice or whatever, it's not like undoing everything. You can still make progress. You can still move on. Because I used to think of it as like, dang it, I ruined it. Okay, next year we'll try, you know?
Yeah.
And it was like, actually, tomorrow I can wake up and
Well, if you
delve
think
into
of
it
the
again.
purpose of the fast, it's about learning to deny ourselves so that we can deny ourselves of the passions and and refocus on Christ, right? So messing up one time, it's just like any other repentance. Like you turn around and it doesn't mean your fast has failed. And
And I literally used to think that. I'd be like, no, I ruined it, you know, and now I realize it's like...
That'd be a bummer if
it's
our
kind of
faith
like
was
this,
like, you're done. Like, sorry, you messed up, you're done. You're like,
it's a little bit of a up and down roller coaster. Like you're trying to get to this spot. And like anything else, you're going to have your setbacks, your delays, and you just... I think keeping an open conversation with your priests, your heavenly father, your godfather or your godmother, whoever, someone that you trust and can kind of reflect on these things with.
And it's probably good for us to not have a perfect fast, because then we would be, you know, like the Pharisee and too proud
of ourselves.
You know. I fasted like these guys over here, you know.
Well, and it is good to keep yourself in check, because I've seen that, like, I've seen people, or, you know, like, yeah, I've had those thoughts of like, hey, they're eating whatever, and I'm, you know, or whatever, growing up. Not that I was ever that great at fasting, but it's always easier said than done to not judge people.
Well, you guys just let me know if you need any putting in your place and you need me to come eat a burger in front of you. For your sake.
We're getting too prideful about our fast.
Here we go. Speaking of, we bring up burgers. Happy holy...
We can like drink milkshakes on the podcast and be like, how's your fast going? Don't you judge us.
So if you have kids, especially with birthdays, talk to your priest about it. It's not like, oh man, you have to have like rice for a rice cake for your cake.
Oh,
he's like, crunch.
Happy birthday to me.
Yeah.
And with kids, you want them to feel loved and special and not resent Lent their whole life. And, you know, we got to keep the balance of creating this like feeling of wonder and specialness and looking towards something as part of Lent.
But it's almost in a similar way as we have fish for the Annunciation and Palm Sunday, because those are feasts, those are celebrations. And it's like for this child, and that's their special day that God brought them into this earth. And so talk to your spiritual father, but to me it makes sense even with our faith that like we
still celebrate
and have some dispensation for,
because in that
that joy of that child coming into the world.
Well, in that context, it's not like, oh, eating cake will take me away from my walk. It's like, no, that's part of celebrating my child. So
I think on one of our fasting calendars it said like if you're patronal feast for your church is on a fasting day, then you can have fish on that day. So I'm like, I wonder if that applies for like birthdays too, but I'll have to ask my priest.
Or your patron saint feast day, maybe. Name's
Yeah,
day.
possibly.
Possibly.
So
Yeah.
let's ask our
If
priest.
you have a birthday and a name's day in Lent,
Woohoo.
double
Yes.
fish are.
Side note, for anyone new, this is also why you can't get married or any like big things like that during Lent, because first of all, it's a fasting period, so your wedding would be kind of sad. Like, let's party with no alcohol or meat, Anyways, but so there's prescribed seasons of celebrating and fasting, et cetera, et cetera.
That can be a stressful thing for like engaged Orthodox couples. It's like, okay, we can't do Lent, we can't do Advent. Like, get out the calendar, we gotta figure this
You'll
out.
Yeah.
see there's like little gaps throughout the year where everyone's anniversaries are on.
Yeah.
Like,
Yours.
Yeah, a lot of summer weddings
after-
because
Yeah.
there's not. Well, there is some summer fast periods, but like there's
like from
like July usually.
late April to like July is like a good time.
Or
But
January.
So the second pillar of the fasting period is
Almsgiving.
Thanksgiving. Katie,
Alms for the poor.
would you like to summarize?
Summarize what almsgiving is?
Alms.
Sure. Your palms have alms. So I think when we think of alms, we think of giving to the poor, which is part of it. Almsgiving, well, the way it's been explained to me is beyond just tithing. So tithing traditionally is giving 10% of all you have, of your time, talents, and treasure. So almsgiving,
Money.
which is the treasure.
Yes. Money,
So we should always be giving. During Lent, we place an extra emphasis on it. So we're trying to give even more beyond that.
Just like during Advent, we talked a little bit about it, how it's like that extra mile.
Yes. And it's not really, from what I've been taught, it's not really so much about the percentage of your life. Like, oh, you're giving 11%.
Right.
It's about the overall attitude of how can we find ways to serve, how can we be a little more generous or a lot more generous, how can we focus our time, and that's part of it. Like, even like it's connected to fasting, because it's like, okay, fasting, you might be like giving up screen time or giving up certain foods, and how can you replace that? And that's where like the almsgiving comes in. Prayer too, we'll talk about that next, but both of those things are related to like what, the fasting is what you're giving up, and then the almsgiving is what you are giving. And so, for example, my family and we oftentimes, just like all of us, we see people who are asking for food or money when we're just driving, and we don't even like carry cash anymore. And there was a time in my life when I oftentimes like had food, at least protein bars or something. When I lived in New York, I had them in my backpack. And we just like have fallen out of practice of that. And then my husband and I were talking and saying, wow, that's not good that like that's the example we're giving to our children, as we're kind of ignoring people that we see. And so as we've been preparing for this Lent, and in particular in light of this past Sunday, which in the Orthodox Church is the Last Judgment Sunday, where they read about the sheep and the goats, it's very it's scary, and it's like, whoa, why are we ignoring someone who's asking for help? And so we decided for kind of a family service project that we're starting this Lent, and hoping, we can continue after. We all went to Costco today, actually, and we had the kids help pick out different snacks, and we made bags that we can just have ready to go in the car. I think my husband's going to bring some to the church, because there's a lot of people who come to the church. They have bags already, but we can help replenish more of them.
Did your kids decorate the bag?
Yeah. So when we all did it as teenagers, we usually did the sandwich, the like brown paper bags. And so we would decorate them, and that brings joy too. We ended up using Ziploc bags, so they're not as easy to decorate. But what we did is kind of created little just cards that my children decorated and drew on. My son, who's old enough to write, wrote some messages like "God bless you" and "Jesus loves you," and so it was really sweet. And then the ones who can't write, well, my son Anthony, who goes by Tony, wrote like Tony, and so like from Tony. So I'm like, well, hopefully it'll bring someone joy. Like clearly a little kid just writing, you know. And then his twin brother Oliver, who's autistic, doesn't do any like writing letters yet, but he loves helicopters, so he started to draw helicopters.
That's
So
He
sweet.
draws
It's very
helicopters.
sweet.
I love that.
And he goes circle line, and then he like draws the top thing.
Oh,
And so listen, I'm like, someone might get the helicopter and not, be like, oh, interesting. But hopefully, I'm like, listen, I know love was put in that helicopter.
Yeah.
And so hopefully they'll see it. And even if they're confused, bring some joy.
I would say and we've been taught this, any form of almsgiving isn't really about how the other person's going to receive it. Like, that's not our responsibility. It's like, we're working on our side of the street. It's kind of like, there was a priest once that said, I give money to the homeless, and I know a lot of people don't, because they think they're going to go buy drugs or alcohol or waste it. You're saying like you're hungry, but you're, like, we can like make all these judgments. But sometimes the right thing is just to give them what you have. Sometimes if you just have $1 in your pocket and you give it to them, and you say a prayer, and you can even tell them God bless you, like, that's all you can do. And it's not really, they might be using it to go buy their children diapers, like, we don't know. It's not our place to know exactly.
Well, that was part of my thing. I'm like, we need to be prepared. Like, oh, I don't carry cash. I'm like, that's not really an excuse. It's a choice. And so I'm like, okay, if we have something prepared and my children seeing that we're giving. And throughout the whole process, as we were making these, we were talking about what that means to like be Christ to someone and to treat them as Christ, and we're all made in the image and likeness of God. Yeah. And so that's every time there's an interaction, it's like we're trying to show Christ's love and we're trying to see that person as Christ. And then we did a special prayer for all the people who will end up getting this food.
I love that. I might have to do that with my kids.
Yeah, that's really sweet. And then they during just our regular nighttime prayers, they ended up praying for the people like again in those prayers, or like, thank you, Lord, for like letting us make the artwork for people, and thank you, God, for letting us pack the sandwich bags for people. And it was really sweet, and the hope is that it has a real impact. Tony, who's 4, was like grabbing, because we put like all the bags in like the bigger Trader Joe's bags, and he's like, okay, let's go give them out to people. And then he even said like, we didn't make enough, we need to make 100. There's 100 hungry people. I'm like, yes, there are 100 hungry people. I'm like, you know what, we'll end up making more love, like we will.
Oh, he's like on fire to do it all.
Like, okay, let's do it. Well, no, I was thinking too about just other ways to help, like with time volunteering, because sometimes with very little kids it's hard, because some places like there's a certain age you have to be to even do volunteering. That's something like this is something like we literally did at home, that we're prepared when we see people out in the world now, or we could give it to the church or whatever for people when they come. The other one I thought of that I think most places would be good at any age is like nursing homes. Yeah. Maybe not during cold season or whatever, but hopefully after, when nobody's ill or
homes,
anything.
the people of them love that stuff.
Yeah. When I thought of, I'm like, if I bring my like baby to a nursing home, that would bring so much joy to me. Little kids who are just like,
I remember
happy to see
our
them.
choir, and it's like, because I just get a kick out of old people. I love them, even the cranky ones. I'm like, bring it on. I love it. But I remember our choir in like 7th grade going to nursing home, and they're all like saying how cute we were, and then this old man said like, if I were your age, I'd date every one of you, or something like that. And I was just like, I love this. But like, it really, and we've all had grandparents, we'll have grandparents that just children make their day.
Well, that's something too. I'm like, who can we like, so specifically going out and doing a volunteering thing such as nursing homes, or if it works for your family to go to soup kitchen or something. But then that, like, speaking of grandparents, it's like, who do we have in our lives that maybe we haven't been visiting that much or checking in on, or all, it's.
I remember, and just another thing about some things that we did growing up and that we're doing with our kids is, do you remember we would do like food drives? And we actually had a couple times where we went door to door asking for like extra cans and stuff. I think something like that, because it's like the kids are getting this experience of being put out there and like dealing with real world people, but in a safer setting. There's a lot of things like what I want to do, not even just for Lent, but I've been wanting to do with my son for a while, is like, here's this big bin, fill it up with toys. Like, because we have so many toys, you don't need all these toys. Like, fill this up with toys that we can give. And we've done that actually before. And he was like, he kept finding random toys going, Mama, someone would like this. Like, someone would like this. And just like making a donation. And you don't even have to just do it to like a thrift store. You can find places that actually like Toys for Tots or things like that. There's different ways of getting involved that maybe isn't exactly like seeing the other people, but, you know, or teaching your children to, you know, donate some of their money, not just to church, but to a homeless shelter or, you know, different places like that. And just getting their mind thinking, because once you were saying your kids are getting all excited, like my son got really excited about donating his toys and thinking of another kid who doesn't have as many toys, like getting this teddy bear or whatever, you know, it's really sweet.
We've had our girls fill a jar with coins, and it's like really exciting for them to see it like fill up over the course of Lent.
Yeah.
And then they took it to donate. We went to the Downtown Rescue Mission thrift store where they have a donation jar, and they're like, woohoo, and get to pour it in and like see it. And then we were like, okay, and we just left without buying anything. But it was fun. You know, the kids get to see their contribution,
contribution,
and feel so proud of it.
Well, even like helping around the house, like serving your family and talking about doing so with joy.
That's a good way to tell my kids
we
that.
attempt to. But to actually say, like, instead of putting chores in this, like, oh, it's just like we gotta do it, like even we as the parents can work on doing so more joyfully, and like, hey, this work that we're doing,
It starts with us and how we.
But it's like, this is helping our family. This, you know, we do the dishes so that we have dishes to eat our food on, and we're thankful for our food, and just that kind of slowing down and taking that time.
One thing your mom does when she's folding, she loves like even going to like our house and folding. She's like, "Can I fold your laundry for you?" But she said she'll like pray for each person whose like shirt or pants she's folding. And I was like, that's a good way just to incorporate in your like everyday mundane things, you know, like I'm praying for my daughter, or like this sweater my sister left or whatever, you know. She hasn't done that, but in a while at least. So like there's different ways to incorporate in teaching your kids then, like, hey, I know you don't want to do this, but maybe if we pray for this person while you're doing it, or praying, or someone also said like when you're doing dishes, I forget who, but they were saying like each dish they're like praying for the next person who's eating off that plate, you know, or things like that. Those are good things to teach the children.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to the kind of fasting, like connecting to fasting, right? It's like we take that and then we're replacing it with something. So maybe we're doing less screen time and we're doing some more chores, but then we're also doing more like sitting down and doing board game connection time with the family. And so it's almsgiving is time, talents, and treasure. So that time portion of it, it's like, how can we give to other people? And that can include our own family and our own children and our spouse and all of those people who God has put in our lives.
Because all of these things are there to redirect us, you know, back towards Christ and loving Christ through loving others. So like through this, the almsgiving portion, the pillar of almsgiving is like redirecting us away from ourselves and our own personal desires and the passions that we, you know, long to fulfill or whatever, refocusing away from selfishness and towards others and towards Christ.
And people look at sometimes, and we've talked about this, you look at Lent with a little bit of dread. You're like, oh no, what's going to happen? What trials am I going to have to go through to learn a lesson or something, you know? What you know, what misery will fasting bring me in almsgiving and being selfless, you know, like, but if you let it, Lent can be one of the most beautiful times of the year, because if you let it like seep in that you are connecting with Christ, it really gives you this renewed, like it really does bring you closer to Christ. So you have to remember when you're doing these things that are hard, that it actually is working, you know, and like it's not just like suffering for suffering's sake, you know, like it really is like look to Christ then, and you feel enlightened, you know, and it can be a joyful time, it can be a glorious godly time. It's not just you know, like it is that a lot of the times too, but just like suffering in general can bring you closer to Christ.
Yes.
So the third pillar is prayer. So Lent, you'll notice, just like Advent, there's a lot more church services that pop up. Even after Lent, Holy Week, there's tons of church services, which I think
we're basically just live at church during Holy Week.
Which
if you go to all of them.
We're grouping this conversation in with Holy Week as well. You know, every Wednesday there's an extra service now, or there's a service. Pre-sanctified liturgy. One of, like my husband and I always say, it's one of the most beautiful services of the year. There's some songs that are only sung in that. Let My Prayer Rise. Oh, gorgeous, you know. And praying at church is so important. Also, during Lent is a time to pray more at home. So we do, like our family, we change what song we sing at night after prayers. We do either, depending on the day of the week, we'll do Let My Prayer Rise, or we'll do some other like
Lenten
themed songs. And I think it's just a special time with your children. Even in the morning, instead of waking up and like turning on the TV or doing this, like I love to play like just some like Orthodox music, have like dim lighting, and just these like calmer things, just setting, kind of like when we were talking about romanticizing your life. It's like you're setting the tone.
You create the environment.
Yes.
And you're more likely to focus on the right things.
Right.
You create that environment.
Yes.
For prayer and to encourage prayer.
Yeah. So Gary and I, for instance, just recently had our house blessed, but before our priest came, we really concentrated. It was actually like our Valentine's evening. We like really concentrated and redid some of our icon corner, our icon wall. And it was, first of all, we were like, this is like one of the best Valentine's Day, just like working on this together. It was like so fun. And we were like just talking as the kids were, you know, asleep, and just like making this, putting like your heart and soul into it a little bit. And then like lighting more candles throughout Lent, and just like really concentrating on the beauty of it. It keeps your heart in prayer more often. So I think that for me, we try to pray more, but in doing that, we try to set the environment to help us get into that zone, because sometimes it's really hard. And then you dim the lights, light a few candles, and turn on some Orthodox music, and you're like, okay, I can pray again, you know?
I like the idea of bringing more purple into either your prayer corner or around the house, where it'll remind you, like just visual reminders that it's Lent.
Lent is the color of Lent is purple, like with the liturgical colors
and such.
Yes.
And we decided, so similar, we have like a hymn we do with our evening prayers. And so Nazo wrote a melody to the Jesus prayer that we're going to do as a family during
You should
Lent.
teach it to us.
So that's going to be our hymn that we do as a family during all of Lent. And then we do St. Ephraim's prayer, which is the one with 3 prostrations.
Which kids always really get into.
They're like, cross yourself and bow.
Prostration.
Well, for people who are new to Orthodox, what's a prostration, guys?
It's a full bow. Head to the floor.
So you're standing, you bow all the way down to your head, and then you back up. And you'll see like, that a lot in the Orthodox Church.
Especially during Lent.
It's like Orthodox burpees, right?
Basically.
Yeah. And I mean, side note, if you're like injured or elderly or any of those things, you don't have to do the whole thing every time. See, I remember being like pregnant and doing one and being like seeing stars.
I'm like, I would like, when I was very pregnant, I would like kind of sit and just, because like, I can't like,
modifications.
Yes. Fainting when you're pregnant is not good.
I literally was seeing stars, and I was like, that'll be it for the me. Yeah.
So, and then the other thing we talked about doing is replacing or adding to our like bedtime routine story. We're like, we can do the children's Bible reader and do a gospel story in that every night. So if we don't have time, we'll just do that. And if we do have time, we'll do that plus, another story for them or whatever. But even maybe being thoughtful in choosing the other stories and what kind of stories we're focusing on, because we have several saint stories. in addition to whatever your family prayer rule and routine is, I think reminding your children about the purpose and the focus of prayer, because it can be so easy to go through the motions and like, okay, it's evening prayers, everyone, and we're all tired because the day's been crazy. And so that's one of our goals, is to slow down and do like the more focused prayer and to actually say like, hey, no, we're actually stopping and we're doing this together.
It is easy to like rush it and be like, okay, we gotta
Yeah,
get to bed.
like, We're running late for bed.
Yeah.
But especially during this time, we should work on always doing it, but at least like forming that habit during Lent and saying like, no, like we really are stopping and talking to God and thanking him for our day and reminding ourselves of the blessings we've been given by him as a family. It's this moment where we're all together, focused on the Lord. We don't want it to just be this like chaotic thing that we do just because it's part of what we do. You know, it's like it needs to be the most set aside time.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I've had times where I was like watching a movie or reading something and a thought occurred and I was like, oh, I was supposed to pray for that person. I'm gonna do that when I pray later. And I'm like, no. So when our friend actually was telling us, she said like she heard, if you ever feel the urge to pray, like stop what you're doing and just do it then and there. And like it doesn't have to be just at night. It's
Right.
especially if it comes to your mind, it's like probably you should be talking to God about this. Which is hard for my OCD. So now that I'm like pausing all the time, like, did I do it? Anyways, that's just I know that's our OCD episode. But it's like you can pause everything even in the middle of the day when you feel rushed to set aside time for prayer or to just say, oh my goodness, Lord of mercy, you know.
Well,
And
I wonder even about doing that out loud.
yeah.
Like maybe not all the time, but I'm thinking about the example for the children in particular, because it's like I want them to know too that prayer isn't just like the thing we do before meals and before bed.
Right.
It's like part of our everyday
I love.
lives.
Have you seen that book? I know you have. You've had it, but it's
Lord Have
the Lord of
Mercy.
Mercy
Yeah, I like
book.
that.
It's like all these cute things and good things happen. Lord of Mercy, and then I fell or whatever. Lord of Mercy. It's like no matter what happens in her day, she says Lord of Mercy, and I love that. And then it reminds me and my son and my kids. Now it's my little one's old enough now to start picking up on things, but like, oh, Lord of Mercy, blah blah blah, you know, and kind of using that as like some saints have said it's like should just be like the beating of your heart, like you're always just praying, you know, it's always there.
Yeah. And then along with prayer, we touched on a little bit, but going to church more.
Yeah.
And we have our church during all of Lent has a Monday compline every Monday, Wednesday pre-sanctified, which you mentioned, and then Friday akathist, in addition to regular.
Mary.
Yes.
Akathist Mary, Mother of God.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're all such
And so
beautiful
there might be
services.
different jurisdictions that have slightly different traditions on which services they do
There
regularly
are,
during
Or they have
Lent,
like
but
more pre-sanctifieds during the week.
or
or
yeah,
work
morning. Some of them like every Friday morning or something.
yeah, so that's what our church is doing.
Look
This
into your
Lent.
local parish.
Yes.
A local parish near you.
See what services are available.
And also, I do want to say, especially like when you think about Holy Week and you have children, you're not going to make it every single service. You just got to do your best. And of course, talk to your spiritual father about it. But some people will do we'll do it because there's multiple services almost every single day. And there is a service at least every night that week.
Holy Week.
During Holy Week. What did I say?
Yeah.
I think you did.
I did. Okay. You just got to do your best. It's like with fasting. It's not going to be perfect, and it probably shouldn't be perfect because then we'd be like, I am a saint, you know, and that's not what this is about.
I also do remember, though, our Lenten speaker last year talking specifically about Holy Week and Lent, but Holy Week in particular. And she was saying it's meant to be disruptive to your life. It's meant to disrupt the normal routine. So push as best you can with your family while still meeting their needs. And
that's kind of like what my friend was saying, like prayer should be disruptive. You should pause your show to say a prayer. You should put down your book
Have to mind shift.
Yeah. So it's meant to be kind of like stop you in your tracks. Like even, especially if you don't want to, that's probably a good sign that you should connect with Christ.
Regarding prayers, I mean, we do the St. Ephraim's prayer, which the kids really get into.
Which is the one with the prostrations for anyone.
Yes. And just involving the kids in prayer as much as, like, can you read this part or repeat this part or whatever. Also, there's the daily readings of the Bible readings during Lent. Those are a little bit hard for the kids to sit through. Well, Genesis is usually pretty popular with the kids because they can, creation and Noah and stuff like that. But then it's like Proverbs and Isaiah where they're just kind of like, maybe if you just read the Genesis readings as a family and do the others on your own or whatever, and the saints of the day, which we like to do throughout the year, but just kind of whatever extra thing you can do to kind of bring that spiritual life home with the family.
Might I just say too, I remember because Christine had kids before me, 2 kids before I had one, and she would read to her young children like the lives of the saints, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're like being beheaded or something, but like these kids are just, it's part of like their life. It just becomes this natural thing. And you said to me once when I was like, is it okay? Like, you're like, it's better than like everything you'll hear on the news. Like, I thought it was so cool that you just were like, no, this is their life. Like, they're Orthodox. They're going to learn about this stuff. Does that make sense? Do you remember that kind of?
Yeah. I mean, there have been a few times where I skipped over a couple gory details, to make it.
But like your kids know more saints than me and some or more details.
Too, probably, yeah.
They know more details and they're not fazed by it. They're just like, yep, that's Orthodox life, know, and it's really neat.
Thing for the kids to know the lives of the saints, to have that woven into their lives as they grow and mature.
Just like being part of their tools is like they know these saints, and
it really puts the faith in perspective to know, like, okay, just outside of our family, like, what does Orthodox Christianity look like? What have people gone through for the faith, for their belief and commitment to Christ, for defending the church from heresies, all these sorts of things. And I think that in general is really good to pour into our children. And
I feel like we weren't exposed to the lives of the saints as much as growing up.
Hear a story and be like, whoa!
And that's why to this day I love learning about new saints. Like, there's a saint that ate meat on Holy Friday at the church, or like, it's just mind blowing. And that's why I'm glad we're doing the saintly or the daily saint, the weekly saints or whatever.
Like in our episode about being cradle Orthodox, we talked about how we went to camp and we were like, whoa, mind's blown. And I remember like learning about Saint Thecla at the Antiochian village, and I remember like going home. I was in middle school and being like so jazzed about it and just telling these friends of mine at lunch in middle school, like, there was a saint who like did all this stuff, and it was like, and they're probably like, oh, okay. And now that is just the tip of the iceberg.
And now your girls are like fluent in speaking about saints. It's so cool. But I'm like, I want that to be me and my children, and to not feel like shy away from this, but just like, because it could be scary or something, but to look at it as like this beautiful thing because we get to be part of this faith. It's kind of like when we've talked about there's like the books about like the Orthodox queens and stuff. It's kind of like our mythology, but it's real. Like our children get to hear these stories, these legendary, but they're actually real. To involve that in Lent is good. Okay.
I forgot to mention the Jesus prayer, which I'm bad at. Like, it's hard, but I will like make more of an effort to try to incorporate it at times of the day during Lent, especially. I want to make a prayer rope this year.
A prayer rope is either a bracelet or a rope tied together that you hold in your hands, and it has little knots that are made with the cross and they're like a specific way you do it, but you hold it, or some are made just with beads, and every time you touch a new knot, you say, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy upon me, sinner, and save me. Lord of mercy, however. And most of
The
them,
Jesus prayer.
the Jesus prayer. It's a tool we use, and there's saints that talk about it like it's like bullets to demons. It's all these great things that helps us draw closer to Christ.
Okay, so we have fasting, almsgiving, and prayer. And then I think we just wanted to take a couple minutes to talk about things that maybe we do that don't 100% fit into one of those categories in preparation for Great and Holy Pascha.
One thing that we didn't cover is confession.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much like you're supposed to go to confession during Lent if you're an Orthodox Christian who wants to stay in communion. It's like, okay, maybe you
It's
slack
part
the
of
rest
it.
of the year, but make it happen during Lent. So schedule your confessions now. Go ahead and do it.
Make it a
your
priority.
church
I
does.
think we didn't talk about it as a pillar, but it definitely falls into one of the
Repentance.
prayer, repentance.
Yes.
So
Fasting, almsgiving, and prayer.
another thing I like to do with my kids is, and when I've taught Sunday school, is crafts that are good for the soul, but especially things that we actually use in church. So like decorating a Palm Sunday palm or a Holy Week candle is something that you can do, something with your hands that you're preparing. So that's another thing we do. But I just wanted to say we do plan on having a specifically preparing for Pascha episode, because we want to talk about how we prepare the baskets, how we, decorating Paschal candles, like what we do with our kids at night during the service, etc. So stay tuned for that.
One other thing that we've done is some version of a countdown calendar, if the kids can be involved in making it somehow. So one year we did rings on a chain. You can either have the chain start with 40 days and like take off a link, those paper chains, you just tape the loops together, or you can add links every day and then it gets longer. And what we
Do you ever do like 46 for Holy Week or whatever, 47?
Yeah, like we calculated it. So yeah, to include Holy Week and stuff. One year, and I did this like as a young adult, I did this by myself. And then I did it once with the kids on the chain. But I wrote down 40 names of people or maybe a situation to pray for during Lent. So you could either have it on your link of the chain and you take it off and you say, today we're praying for Uncle Tim. And just so you have that almsgiving of prayer for others, to move the focus off of yourself again. Or just the other time I just did it like in a baggie of names or something like that, just to help.
And I was going to say, just in summary, a lot of people, including us, look at Lent or Advent as being this huge time of year and Christmas being the ultimate holiday. For Orthodoxy, it's huge. Christmas is huge. But Pascha is the feast. The
feast of feasts.
It's everything to us, know? So this whole season is... It's nice to think we can make this as special as Advent. We can make this the time of the year that we're going to draw closer to Christ. Yeah. And then Pascha, it's so worth it, like celebrating on Pascha after you've been fasting from meat and you've been, not watching, reading your normal books or whatever. It's so worth it. And I just really want to encourage people to take this time and just make it special and not have to look at it as like, time, but like get inspired by it. And
it takes more work because the rest of the world isn't like decorating their houses,
Yeah.
During Advent, you're like, okay, we're kind of all heading towards Christmas together. And then
not to mention that most years Orthodox Easter is different.
The
rest
date.
So something else that's just an idea to do is along the lines of some of what we've been talking about with replacing it with other things, but there's a lot of really good podcasts that you can listen to. Yes, you can listen to Monks and Mercy. That's not what I meant. No, there's Ancient Faith Ministries has a lot of podcasts from years and years.
Yes.
So one I'm listening to right now is Search the Scriptures from Dr. Eugenia Constantinou. And they're a little older. They're not like recent episodes, but she has like a whole like college level series on introduction to the Bible. And I'm so fascinated. There's so much I didn't know.
And there are a lot of books as well that you'll find like probably in your Orthodox bookstore about Lent. Like I don't listen to a lot of, I need to listen to more podcasts, but there's a lot of like speeches you can look up on YouTube of different people talking about Lent or like what the saints say about it. And it's all really good.
There's just a lot out there you can replace
Yeah.
with. Not that we can't just have silence sometimes, but
Yes.
if we're trying to, take away music that we, don't want to be listening to during Lent or more secular podcasts and replace it, there's a lot of good content that already exists out there.
That would be the fifth pillar, I would
including
say.
Mugs and Mercy.
If there was a fifth pillar, repentance and silence, I was going to say we didn't really touch on silence, but the importance and goodness that can come from just silence, like no music, no talking, no, playing games with your friend, nothing, just having, cleaning or
I work on that with my
talking to your kids without stuff in the background all the time. It's so healing, and we're not used to it in this modern day, but it's so good for the soul. So fight the good fight, you guys. Blessed Lent, and yeah, we're excited for Lent, and Lord bless us all. All right, ladies, we are starting new goals this week, and maybe we could do these for all of Lent. Do you think?
I think so.
You think so?
Let's do it.
Okay, Katie, and appreciations. Katie, would you like to kick us off with a big one? Why don't you?
I appreciate my husband, Nazo. We had a very nice Valentine's Day together. I'm like, what was the holiday we just had? No, we were so tired. I told him on our date, I was like, I almost just said Happy Thanksgiving to the server. That's funny. Like, Happy Thanksgiving, thanks for the meal. No, okay. Anyway, but no, we had a very nice Valentine's Day, and during that time, we also were talking a lot about our Lenten goals, and we're really on the same page, and we're excited to get started together. And it's good. One just like clear Lenten goal is to limit at least entertainment style screen time to an hour a day. And so I've already like deleted some apps off my phone that are tempting to scroll. And I'm like, okay, I have to actually go to the laptop if I want to go on Facebook. So
Ooh. Is it just with your phone or just all screens?
no, all like entertaining kind of screen, because there's work that has to
Like
get done
shows
and things
and
that.
stuff.
But yeah, like to actually like. The main thing is I'm like, okay, if I'm going to watch a show for entertainment, I'm being intentional about the time and not just mindlessly doing it for as long as I want.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's hard. Excuse me. Are you going to ask me or do I just go?
I know you were
Just go usually.
Yeah. How about you? How about you? Why don't you?
I am thankful for my husband. We also, like I said, we spent Valentine's. We had lunch. And then when we put the kids to bed, we like worked on our icon corner. And the next day our priest came over for house blessing. So we just like worked on things around the house and just like talked and like didn't, because a lot of times we'll just like watch a show together and eat like a snack together at night. But it was like we're just like hanging out and we're having a common goal. So I felt really connected to him lately, and I'm so thankful for him. And my goal, I'm excited because I started this goal at the beginning of January, but I really want to keep it up and be like really intentional with it during Lent and this whole next month. And that is, I need to come up with like a name for it, but it's like every day I come in the morning, and I have ADHD, so this is helpful. I get 3 goals in my head, and then I can write it down, but I pick ones that I have to stick to. And it's like the first thing I do when I wake up, it'll be basically, it's normally like 2 easier things that I know I can do, and 1 thing that's like I've been putting off or, harder. And it's been really helpful. And it's like, it sounds so silly and simple, but it's like I get excited because then once I get those 3 goals done that aren't like too overwhelming, I'm like, I can like enjoy the day. I feel like accomplished. It's just nice to be able to check it off and be like, ooh, I'm getting stuff done today, even if it doesn't seem like it to other people. Anyways,
I feel like we should thank Katie for her goal making episode.
I'm thankful for Katie.
Watch the New Year's resolution episode.
Yeah. Inspiring, motivating,
Sorry.
and boring.
Sister, what about you?
My goal is my appreciation.
My goal.
Well, I feel like I would be like the weird one if I didn't be thankful for my husband this week. No, we also had a nice Valentine's Day. Our collective parents and
All the
extended
grandparents, yeah.
grandparents. Watched all of our kids during the daytime.
So we can appreciate them too.
Yes,
Thank
oh my
y'all.
gosh.
So we had like a lunchtime date, and we each had our separate.
All our
Lunch dates.
grandparents watch all the grandchildren
Yeah.
so that us and our husbands could go out to eat or do whatever.
Anyway, so yes, we had a nice Valentine's Day, but also I bought a couch recently. I found like my dream couch at the thrift store, and Miguel doesn't always understand my vision for like how I want to decorate and stuff, you know. But I just think it's so sweet that he's been so supportive of
And
me.
you had just gotten a chair, and
I
you're
just-
like, oh.
I just got this really cool chair from an estate sale, which is also a cool vintage. I'm like just a sucker for vintage furniture, and we only moved in our house like a year ago, and we haven't had like the living room is like there's a couch, but it's just like a placeholder couch. It's not the dream
Can
couch.
we buy your couch?
Oh, maybe. I just really appreciate that he's been supportive of me. He's like, I'm trying to understand the vision, but yeah, I'll go pick it up for you. And yes, you may buy it. And so thanks, honey. I was like, this is my Valentine's present. Like, actually on Valentine's Day, because I saw it at the thrift store. And I was like, no, it doesn't match my new chair. And we have, you know, what we have. But I like just kept dreaming about it. So on Valentine's Day, we rushed over to the thrift shop before they closed. I'm like, it's still here. He's like,
Christine,
buy it.
you were like almost in tears, like I just bought a chair and it doesn't, so it was cute.
So I'll try to sell the funky side chair and keep the couch.
You guys and your husbands are really cute because it was fun because we all like went out to eat and we came back to pick up our kids and then we celebrated her daughter's birthday.
Yeah. My baby.
Who's one, and it was cute, like seeing all the couples and just having family to celebrate with.
My goal, I know y'all are wondering, since it is Lent, I've been trying to do the daily readings, here and there, but I want to really make a pointed effort to daily read the daily readings. And I have my nifty calendar that I love, which has like the lovely quote and one of the lives of the saints of the day and the other saints of the day. So I'm going to do the readings every day without fail, and then I'll be better than everyone. Just kidding.
Same here.
I think that will be good to, get into the word,
Really dig into it.
Yeah.
So this has been a great episode. Lent begins in a couple days, guys.
Woo!
Also, we didn't say this, but we are going to finish postpartum part 2.
Yes.
Stay tuned for that. We just wanted to tackle this big subject before Lent, and then we're going to do the other one. So join us next week. We love you guys. Thank you for joining, liking, subscribing, and really comment down below. We like to hear your feedback, what you think, what your tips are, what you guys do for Lent, or even a lot of people ask questions that don't know as much about Orthodoxy or whatever. So just really connect with us. And thank you for connecting with us. This is Mugs and Mercy. Cheers. Cheers. Would you like to summarize
what almsgiving is?
Alms.
Sure. Your palms have alms.
Did you just make that up?
I picture like almsgiving. I picture like your palms.
That'll be our thumbnail.
Oh, you're gonna do a thumbnail.
Yeah. Let's do it at the end.
Okay, let's
Try
remember
to
them.
Just in case. Have alms. Katie, you should write a book for children about that.